Hey everyone, this is Oniisanbomber, and this is my very first podcast. As you all know, I love anime and manga, and I write light novels for a living. So I thought that making a podcast about all three of these things might be a fun idea. Mainly because I have some controversial opinions that I just want to make a case for. And hopefully, this way, we have a space here where we can discuss these things and in the comments and so on. And what is my first controversial opinion? Anime is in decline, even though currently anime is doing better than ever. Now, at first glance, my opinion is stupid, right? It is completely contrary to reality. We are in the golden age of anime. We are getting more high quality anime than ever before, and we're getting more niche anime than ever before. We get office rom-coms and high school rom-coms. We get camping anime. We get cooking anime. We get anime about camping and cooking at the same time. We even get anime about anime. But despite all of this abundance, I cannot shake the feeling that this current success of anime is built on weak foundations. Let me explain in a moment why I think so. But let's first look at the anime industry's strengths, because credit where credit is due. The current global anime market is growing at an incredible rate, and it is projected to reach $62.7 billion by 2032. I think the Netflix CEO has said that around half of its global subscriber base has watched anime already on its platform, and I think that is honestly a great thing. I love the fact that so many people are watching anime, and I think it's probably also due to the fact that Netflix really knows what kind of content to push. From what I remember, they've got Spy Family, they got Frieren, they got Dandadan, they got a whole bunch of shows. Demon Slayer, right? Demon Slayer, almost forgot about that one. They know what kind of shows appeal to a mainstream audience, and they really know how to promote anime. Beyond that, the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie has made over $600 million at the worldwide box office, even surpassing some of the big Hollywood heavy hitter releases. And I think at this rate, we are genuinely going to get our first billion-dollar anime movie in the near future. I mean, if Demon Slayer can make $600 million plus, then $1 billion isn't a mere dream. So despite all of this endless success, why do I think, or why do I feel that anime is in decline? First of all, let me tell you two different stories. First one is about archaeologists and what they say about cultural development. As it turns out, based on what archaeologists have found with ancient pottery, culture does not develop in a straight line. It doesn't go from bad to good to brilliant. Culture develops in waves. It goes up and down. For example, Greek pottery in ancient Greece, of course, during the classical period in the 5th century BCE, the pottery was great, and then it declined. Why? Due to cultural decline, political decline, social decline, economic fallout, all of which contributes to a decline in prosperity and culture. And then later, once society sorts itself out, culture will make a rebound, and then it will reach a renaissance period. Now, how does that relate to anime? When I was in Akihabara earlier this year, I was walking around and I saw that a lot of the merchandise that they sold was for older franchises like Re:Zero and Mushoku Tensei and Dragon Ball and One Piece and some Demon Slayer stuff and so on and so forth. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that Re:Zero and Mushoku Tensei are old franchises. They are relatively new. But they are 5, 6, 7 years old. And in comparison to that, I didn't really see that much stuff for Frieren and My Dress Up Darling and Spy Family. And the thing is, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when Re:Zero just came out, the stores were flooded with merchandise for Re:Zero and Sword Art Online, right? And so on. But I'm not seeing the same kind of reaction for newer shows like Frieren or My Dress Up Darling. Of course, there's some stuff, but not nearly as much. Which tells me that while these new shows are popular and of extremely high quality, people don't have a very strong emotional connection to these shows. They are instead more emotionally connected to what was already selling 5, 6, 7 years ago. Their emotional connection does not seem to be transferring to the new stuff, which I think is a very concerning thing, because I think that shows that we are in a social decline, right? Just to be clear, anime itself is not declining. The quality of anime is higher than ever, but we are socially declining. We are emotionally declining. And I think the reason for why we are not forming such a strong emotional relationship with these new stories, such as Frieren, is because of the rise of binge watching. Right? Back in the day, you could only watch one episode per week, and the selection of anime is only what the TV channel would put on, right? You didn't really have much of a choice. And then after watching it, you will discuss it with friends, and you will speculate, you will think about it, and there was the time and the space for that particular show to sink into your heart, right? Whether it was Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, Naruto, whatever. And shows like Frieren and My Dress Up Darling, they don't really have the same opportunity to sink their roots into your heart, because as soon as you finish watching it, you go back and scroll on TikTok, or you watch the newest thing, right? So we are always moving on to some other media, and there's no time and space for us to form the emotional connection with a show so that we may feel nostalgic about it in the future. And if we do not have that emotional connection with it, obviously we're not going to buy merchandise for it, right? Which is why I think we see a lack of modern anime merchandise in Akihabara. Beyond that, right, I want to look at, Oshinoko, Frieren, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man. These are all incredible shows, but I don't think they will reach the heights of legendary shows, classics like Cardcaptor Sakura, Dragon Ball, or the Big Shonen 3. Because like I said before, there's no time and space for these incredible shows to have the same emotional space inside of us that we reserved for these other older shows when we were younger. To wrap it up, I want to talk about Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones was the last time we had a real cultural touchstone moment, right? When everyone was talking about the same thing at the same time, when we got one episode per week, and then we had to really sink our teeth into it. And there was so much online discussion dedicated to Game of Thrones. I remember at the office, we used to talk about Game of Thrones all the time, dissecting every new episode. And I just think it's a pity that we no longer have that same cultural moment, whether it's with anime or any TV show in general. And I think it's mainly because there's no time and space for it. Once we finish watching something, we immediately move on to the next thing. There's no time and space for something to become nostalgic in the future. And I'm just worried that if we do not develop nostalgia for something, then in the future, we will no longer feel inspired to create even greater things, because artists are, in large part, inspired by things that inspired them when they were a child. And if there's no childhood inspiration, then we are no longer able to create new things. There will be an emotional emptiness in our culture. And I just want to end it with a quote from Pirates of the Caribbean, where Captain Barbossa says, "The world used to be a bigger place." And Captain Jack Sparrow replies with, "The world's still the same, there's just less in it." Because when we have everything, then we have nothing. All right, guys, that's all. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.